Let's talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the everything good and everything bad, and what my impressions were of the Nintendo Switch. So the Nintendo Switch got released, and I scoured the web looking for positives, looking for negatives, looking for anything, the pretty much general impression of what the Nintendo Switch was. So here's what I came up with. And I'm just going to spread her off. I'm going to start on negatives. I mean, why not? There's actually more negatives than positives. So that's where I'm going to start. The first and foremost, the thing that people have been complaining about the most is that the left Joy-Con connectivity issues. From what I can tell, and from what my brother told me and other people I've seen online, that if you block it in any way between this and the system, then you're gonna have to just remove that thing that's blocking it, and it works. So watch out for that. Number two, while the Joy-Con is docked in its station, it does get overheated. So watch out for that. I don't think that's a major concern, but that is something that people have been complaining about. Also, the matter of it having a very, very short battery life, and also that the two Joy-Cons also need to be charged at some point. You have a lot of different devices, especially if you have the Pro Controller. You have to make sure all of that stuff is plugged in and charging a lot. So that's another negative that I've heard. There's not a lot of storage on here. I'm not sure what the storage is, but I keep hearing over and over, there's not a lot of storage on this thing. And there's no apps, and there's no way to play your friends on it yet. That's terrible to launch with. I don't know why they would let it launch with all these negative features. It only launched with 9 games. I thought it'd be 8, but 9, that's one more than I thought. It only launched with 9 games. People kind of feel like, oh, I guess it's just my Zelda machine, because that's all I've been hearing about. Heard great thing about Snipper Clippers. No one's playing 1-2-Switch that I know of. It's a fun demo thing. It should have came in the box. Everyone's complaining, why didn't it come in the box? I don't know. The screen is also very small, which is to its detriment. And it's also positive, because holding it in your hands, it actually feels very good. I mean, it's a very small machine, but feels good. Taking the Joy-Cons out as well. Just if you take the Joy-Cons out, that is satisfying, being able to take those out. Also, I really like that the thing that holds the games is the same size as the Switch. I think that's very clever that they did that as well. Also, when we're coming, my brother, this is his copy of Zelda. The actual game itself is very small. I personally am not a fan of how small these things are. I hate when something's so small that you lose it. And people are like thinking before the Switch came out that it would have cartridges, and I guess this is a cartridge, but it's so small. It's ridiculous. They actually coated it with a nail polish thing that if you taste it, it tastes horrible because it's a choking hazard. But good on Nintendo, because this is actually the same size as the Vita games. Vita games are actually a little bit slimmer, pretty much the same size. They want it for portability. You don't want this heavy thing in your system weighing it down, so I understand why it's small. I understood why the Vita did it. I'm just not a fan of these little things. A positive. Pro Controller. Heard nothing but great things. I heard it's one of the best controllers Nintendo's ever made. Great job. This mode specifically, I've heard really good things about. People like it. It feels good in your hands. It's not heavy. Other than the battery life issues I talked about, actually holding it like in this mode and not having it detached away. When it's detached and far away from you, the screen's so small it's hard to see it. But when it's like this, it's easy to see, it's easy to hold. It's a very good handheld, so that's another positive about it. I know I just rolled into the positives, but also whenever you take the Switch and put it into its docking station, it seamlessly switched to your TV, and I've heard that was very good. Kickstand, people said it feels like you're gonna break it whenever you pop it out. That's okay. And what do I think about it? I do think the screen is too small. I think that it's just a tablet. The Nintendo Switch tablet is very small. I wish it was bigger. The gameplay is good. You don't need the best graphics because you want it to run on this thing. I don't understand why they have this small thing and also the 3DS. They're both handheld devices, so are they just a handheld company now? Will Nintendo ever go back to consoles? I kind of wish they would, but seeing this step, I don't think they will. I think they might even be the company to go forward and just do virtual reality. What do I think they did wrong? It should have came out in the summertime. Why didn't they held out and have Switch come out when no one else was releasing games? Have it come out in the summer, then at E3 announce all the games that are coming out the rest of the year. That would have been awesome, and you would have had Mario Kart, Splatoon, and more than 20 games out by the time summer hits. It would have been a perfect time to launch the system, and they would have had time for people to test out their internet and have their internet working for time of launch. I feel like the Wii U was suffering so badly that they had to get this system out. So that's what I think. Thank you for watching Game Rating Review. My name is Jean-Marc Lejean. Please hit that like, subscribe button if you like what you see. And remember, that was just my opinion on the Nintendo Switch tablet.